help you keep track of the year.
Yeah. And what else?
So you remember.
So that's why he said remembrance, right? Why did he say remember the Sabbath to keep it holy? Exactly. He knew there would come a time in which Satan would look to change times and laws. So he made it a remembrance, not just so you can remember the first day of the year. He put it in for 4 times of remembrance to keep us on track from season to season, knowing the deception would be so intense against us knowing the real day. So the remembrance is not just remembering the first of the, you must remember when the next season come in, the next season, because why? It keeps us on track of his Sabbaths for the whole year. So he didn't just break it down just for the 364. He broke it down in quarters too. Then he broke it down in what? In weeks. It gets no simpler than that. So why would he do this unless there was something to remember in this? Unless it meant something attached, unless it was something attached to our connection with him.
So every new moon celebrations on Sabbath, right?
No.
I mean that sunset.
Yes, sundown. Exactly. But if you can remember them, you will fall in 364 flawlessly. Like for instance, we know that the first month is what? 30 days. The second month is 30 days. The third month, 31. So it's flawless just like that. 30, 30, 31. 30, 30, 31. 30, 30, 31. Why did he do it that way?
Repetition.
Because you got 360, but in between that 360, you got a pinnacle.
You got the 4 quarters.
Exactly. That leaves you just like a clock.
31.
Just like a clock.
Yeah.
Just like if you have 12 midnight, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock. See that? So you can remember all those 4 points of that 364 because it's one right in between each quarter. See that? Of course, we know the mistake why you can't calculate this according to the moon. And we're going to go into it. Because the moon gives you cycles of 30. See that? The moon gives you cycles of 30.
Which is 10 days short. 354.
Do your math. 12 times 30 is what? 12 times 30, if you're doing your math, is 354. Right? Somebody, I'll tell you what. This is what I'm going to do. I'll tell you what. Because we're living in a time in which everyone have some type of electronic device attached to them. Pull out a...
360.
It's 360.
Should be, yeah.
It's 360. It's 360. But I'm going to show you how you get 10 days off. The scriptures go into that. I need you to just do it. Do 12 times 30. You got 360. All right. Now, you got 360. What is your changes of seasons? I'm saying, if you're dealing with the moon, what is your change of seasons?
Not there.
Huh?
There's nothing to mark them if it's all 30 days for every single month.
Huh?
There's nothing to mark them if it's 30 days for every single month.
If there's 30 days for each month, where's your marker?
Well, there isn't.
So what day in between that marks the year? That marks your seasons? There is none. So if you have a 360-day cycle and the Most High gave you 364-day cycle, what will happen from creation if you just take 4 days away?
Isn't the moon like this one, the 6 months, 30 days, and the 6 months, 29 days?
Exactly, because they have 29 days in certain situations. So you got 30, 30, 30, you got 29. So when you look at the moon cycles, they're not all completely 30 either. See, paying attention. And we're going to show you that in Jubilees. And in Enoch, it breaks it down. Because the moon doesn't do 30 all the time, you can't even calculate like that. Right? So how would you have your point of changing seasons according to the moon? It would do for more research, right? You would have to do more. Not that you can't do it, if you understand, because they was following things to be able to know what was going on at night. But it was based on what they knew during the day.
Yeah, which is the sun.
Exactly. They worked in conjunction. It wasn't a thing where people were just following holy days when the sun went down. You understand? But we're going to break it down. Read on.
This is Jubilees chapter 6, verse 24. This is the middle of verse 24. And Noah ordained them for himself as feasts for the generations forever.
Go ahead.
As a testimony, so that they, these are written and ordained as a testimony forever. And Noah ordained them for himself as feasts for the generations forever.
Go ahead.
So that they have become thereby a memorial unto him. And on the new moon of the first month, he was bidden to make for himself an ark.
What verse are you at?
This is the middle of verse 25.
Go ahead.
And on the new moon of the first month, he was bidden to make for himself an ark. And on that day, the earth became dry. And he opened the ark and saw the earth. And the new moon of the fourth month, the mouths of the depths of the abyss beneath were closed. And on the new moon of the seventh month, all the mouths of the abysses of the earth were opened, and the waters began to descend into them. And on the new moon of the 10th month, the tops of the mountains were seen, and Noah was glad. And on this moon of the 10th, and on this account he ordained them for himself as feasts, for a memorial forever.
See that? So these things were instituted before there was a law given to Moses. Moses is actually getting understanding from the Most High on the mount what these feasts were about. See that? Why? He kept sending a dove out for what? To see if there was anything growing. And if there was something growing, if it wasn't anything growing, the dove or the bird would come back and live in the ark. Why? Spring didn't come yet. There was nothing that sprung up to show the beginning. You see that? Now, if the dove fly away and it don't come back, then okay, something is living. Things is growing. See that? So these were benchmarks in creation. So a lot of people like to say, and this is what we deal with, and I don't want to go too far off this because I want to come back. A lot of brothers and sisters who deal with the Torah and deal with the truth would like to just stick with Moses. When the majority of things Moses wrote down as law, giving it to us, was law before the flood. It was law before the flood. How else Enoch would be righteous if he didn't know some law? What was he teaching the people? Law. Okay? Common sense. So now the Most High is just now making it law on the other side of the flood. That's what's going on here.
So in Noah's Ark, they had the law too, like in written or something?
Well, of course they had the law.
Like
If the Most High, listen, if the Most High told Noah, put 7 clean animals on the ark and 2 of the unclean, common sense will tell those that are reading that Noah had some sense of what food was clean and unclean. Why? Because if he didn't have that knowledge, then just say if he'd have put an unclean animal on the ark and they used that for food, then that animal would have been extinct. So they knew what animals was used for what. How would they know this? Didn't Adam name all the animals? Didn't the Most High give him dominion over all creatures? So you mean to tell me, with all that knowledge and understanding in the garden, Adam was ignorant to the functions of the animals? He named them. See that? So there was law. You understand?
Like a book form of written.
See, but the difference is, it didn't need to be in law because we were so connected.
It didn't need to be written down.
Exactly. You have to realize that is the same power we have with our brains now. We just don't utilize it. But everything we see and everything we come in contact with, our brain takes a picture. It's just that they had the power back then to do total recall. They could bring it forth.
They haven't been dumbed down, that's right.
Because they could use all of their brain except for like we operate now with only dealing with only a percentage of it. Even though sometimes we utilize it for things we need to remember. You got that? But back then we didn't need we didn't need that. Because we were that connected with the Most High. You understand? So we understood.
It's extra scriptural that the Most High was still showing himself.
Exactly. We're going to go into that at a later date. But understand when they were tempted, when we went to the lessons on creation, when they were tempted, when he says, I will give you knowledge, you'll be as gods knowing both good and evil. They knew a lot of things. Okay? I'm talking about beyond a Harvard professor, but beyond a Rhodes Scholar. I'm just talking about things they understood, that the Most High actually had to stop them before they utilized this information. So that's a whole nother class. Yeah. Exactly. Part of what Christ came to do is to put it back in our hearts where we don't have to teach each other anymore. In Hebrews 8:8, Jeremiah 31. Because that's how it was in the beginning. It was in here. It was there. You didn't need no man to teach you. It was part of our makeup. Right? Good point. Let's get back here so we can break this down. Go ahead.
Jubilees chapter 6, verse 29. And they placed them on the heavenly tablets. Each had 13 weeks, from one to another, past their memorial, from the first to the second, from the second to the third, and from the third to the fourth.
Let's go down to the 29th.
That is verse 29.
Okay, let's go straight to it. Let's go to 30.
Verse 30. And all the days of the commandment shall be 50 weeks, shall be 2 and 50 weeks of days.
Shall be what?
2 and 50 weeks of days.
That means out of a year, you will have how many weeks?
2 and 50 weeks of days.
52 weeks in a year. So this is how you calculate. There's 52 weeks in a year. Right? Read.
And these will make the entire year complete.
These will make the entire year complete. Now, mind you, don't forget the Most High warned if we begin to forget this calculation, what he's given us, what would happen to us. Right? Read.
The middle of verse 30.